Ian,
Dave.
it's really good to see you.
It's very good to see you as well.
Ian, we have some stuff to talk about tonight
We sure do.
on this Apex Adjacent podcast, you and me.
Oh boy, do we.
Yeah, we're going to get into some shit tonight, mister.
You guys, I would just suggest if you have an equalizer in your car, if you're listening to this in your car or you're listening on some sort of device that has some sort of audio filter capability, if you have a filter set up for really high-pitched noises, you're going to want to remove that because otherwise you won't be able to hear Dave's voice in about 10 minutes.
It's just going to be you and then silence and then you like... Yeah. Yeah, and all
me reassuring you that everything's fine, and then just dead air. Yeah. So if you have a filter set up for high frequencies, you're gonna need to adjust that to hear Dave for the rest of this episode.
Maybe also don't drive by a dog park. All right. Yep. I'm Dave. You're Ian. Apex Adjacent Podcast. Ian.
Yes, Dave.
I want to start this episode by talking about our last episode briefly.
Okay.
Tell the folks what our last episode was.
Our last episode was with new friend of the show, James Gilboy, staff writer at The Drive. Yep. And he had a lot of experience with the Kia EV6, including a very cool project where they drove one across the Australian outback.
Yeah.
And we talked about that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun talking to James. But as I was reflecting on our conversation with him about the Kia EV6 and his trip across Australia, it occurred to me how clutch you would have been as a passenger on that adventure. Can you guess why?
Well, I can think of one big reason why I would not be good as a passenger on that trip. Two reasons. One is my horrendous bad luck when it comes to automobiles, which we'll get to. And two, I would have lost my mind if we were driving 35 miles an hour on the highway.
Right, with road trains. Yeah, passing you.
That would have killed me.
Yeah.
I would have gone crazy.
Right. If you ever need to torture Ian to get information out of him, drive him 30 miles an hour on the highway and he'll give up every secret he has.
100%.
Yeah. I'll tell you anything you want.
Just please put down your right foot. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Ian. When you and I are in a press car and I'm at the helm, what do you do typically?
Oh, I press all of the buttons. All of the buttons. So, what does this do? Do not push. Let's try it.
He's in menus. He's in settings. He's figuring out apparatuses.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the story, in one of the dispatches of James and Llewellyn's story, they talked about how they found a setting, I think, at some point that they turned it off and it gave them a little bit more range.
Oh, right.
I just imagined you okay, we need to save everything we can. You would have had that screen auto dimmed to the full, within seconds. You would have had every single power saving option dialed within just minutes, and we would have given 50 miles just off of that.
But then I also would have I might have gained us 50 miles, but then I probably would have also pressed the button that says minus 60. I just press buttons at random.
It would just be me in the driver's seat shouting numbers, and us playing warmer, colder. Yeah. But I just thought that you would be very clutch in that situation, Ian.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, because finding a setting on day 7 is not an Ian thing. Finding a setting within the first
minute 7. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So go back, listen to that if you haven't. But it was just a thought that crossed my mind and I wanted to bring it up because I thought about my boy and his button pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
And with that, I think it's time to end the episode.
We don't have anything else to talk about. Certainly nothing.
Ian, you raised lemons and things happened.
What do you mean?
Are you okay? For the audio listeners, he has changed his virtual background to fire. Ian?
Yes, Dave.
Oh, tell me what happened at Lemons. Tell the people what happened at Lemons. Tell them why you have a fire background.
So I'm like, this is not, I feel like this is the good representation of the amount of fun that I actually really did have this weekend. But our race car caught on fire on track twice, and once while I was in it.
The first time while you were in it.
Yes. I learned some things about myself.
Real quick, let's repeat that. The race car caught on fire while you were driving it on the track.
A little bit, yeah.
Is this like being kind of pregnant, Ian? A little bit of it caught a little bit on fire? Ian, there's either fire or there's not fire. That's how fire usually works.
There was real fire. It was not like a smoldering situation. There were flames. There was lots of smoke. I got very lucky and made some really good decisions. And learned a lot of things.
Okay, so
I'll start. I'll just start.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the same team that I've raced Lemons with for the last couple of races here in Denver.
Dirty Racers.
Dirty Racers. We had kind of a bad weekend in June.
Mm-hmm.
This was not that. Like, this was not like bumbling or just running out of time.
Well, the truck was running at the beginning of the race.
The truck was running.
You started the race, so it's different.
I did all of the testing on Friday. All the test running that we did on Friday. I did all the driving for that, and the truck was running. The engine is super strong now. The gear change. They did a final drive ratio change and totally transformed the truck. The suspension feels like way better than it ever has. It still has and the brakes are way better than they've been. And it still has its quirks, and it's
a truck with a V8 crammed in it. Yeah.
It's very silly things. It's not the most comfortable place to be.
You have to put pads in to drive it.
Yeah, the steering is garbage, whatever. But it was consistent, and like I knew what would happen when I did things. And so I was just like gaining confidence and getting faster, and like I could be consistent, like that's like such a huge thing. Like once you know what's going to happen when you press a pedal, like that's a big level up, right? From basket case. And so it's been the best I've ever driven it on Friday. And then when I started my stint on Saturday, I was the second driver in. It was a 24-hour race. Goes noon on Saturday to noon on Sunday. We stayed up all night on Friday getting it ready for rain because there was kind of unexpectedly rain in the forecast.
Yeah, we had a weird weather swing here in Denver. It was 100 the week before and then dipped down to like the 50s. It was that weekend. Yeah.
Oh, it was 40 degrees and raining when it started. It was
wow.
Cold out there.
Yeah, it just wind hitting you. Yeah.
Oh, it was so cold and wet and soggy. So Joe and I like stayed up all night getting the wipers working, and then we were like doing other stuff. Like they got a heater for the windshield so it wouldn't fog if it rained all day. We had a lot of stuff to do, and then we were doing things that were like just making things better. Like I was trying to mess with the cameras and the audio to try to get that stuff working for the live stream and blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So I am going to be second in the truck. Their friend Mike from back in the day when Joe raced in California, he had two guys come out from California, Mike and Wes. from his old Lemons team. They were great, both really good mechanics and great drivers. Mike took the first stint because he was good in the rain, and he did a fantastic job. Got us. We were running like
20th place. Yeah.
Yeah. When I got in the truck, when I got back on track, we were in 23rd after the pit stop and everything.
I was watching the live stream, and he was handling it really well in the wet. Yeah, laying down like low 240s, which adding 20 seconds to that truck in rain, like a great lap in that truck is like 220, 225.
We were, we like low 220s is kind of where we ended up. Brian had the fastest lap of the weekend on Sunday with a 221.
Okay. Yeah. So rain laps of 240 something are great. Yeah.
Well, and by the time it started to dry out, there was like a dry line, but it was still wet on like the curbs and offline.
It was spitting off and on all day. It was like Seattle showed up in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't have rain tires. You didn't have rain tires.
Correct. So we got down to 220. He got down to 227.
Okay.
And then I got in, and I had about 30 minutes before.
Yeah, you had about 10 to 12 laps. Yeah.
I had 10 flying laps. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching you on the race monitor.
Thank you. Yeah. So
and then my phone got really hot.
Yeah. I think maybe like a lap or two in, we lost the live stream, and I lost comms as a result of that. So that was a power issue with the electronics in the truck, which we can talk about or not. But basically, we didn't realize how power hungry the GoPros were, and so we kind of ran out of amps.
Right.
So we're still kind of messing with that piece of it. Anyway, but that also meant I didn't have radio.
Right.
Which becomes important.
Yep.
Here. So the other thing is that I lost comms. If you remember way back to last year, the last 24-hour race, we had an issue where, and this becomes relevant to all this, to my background here. We had an issue where I had smoke in the cabin intermittently because wires were melting on the floor because the floor got so hot because the exhaust was right up against it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so Joe put in a bunch of heat shielding.
Okay.
Which, yay.
Yeah.
He put a bunch of heat shielding in underneath the cab, aluminum, and then he put like some insulation, some high temp insulation stuff that like stuck to the right. So that was good and bad, because here's what happened. So I was driving along, and I'm probably around turn 8 when I start to see little wisps of smoke in the cabin.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably related to my comms going out a couple laps ago. You know, like, oh, this is why I don't have any.
Something's letting the smoke out.
Something's letting the smoke out. There's a wire that needs to be unplugged. There's something is on something that's hot. I need to fix it. So I'm still driving as fast as I can, but whenever I have a second, I'm looking over to my right where all of the electronics are mounted to see if there's something obvious that I can do. If I can like unplug something or shut something off or whatever to try to fix the situation. And then by the time I'm through turn 11, I'm realizing that there's a lot more smoke and I need to think about pitting. So I'm like, okay, I'm committed. I'm coming in this lap. And turn 11 is like, it's the uphill before you get to the S's.
Right. So you're basically one big turn away.
Yeah.
From pits. Yeah.
From pits. And so I look in my mirror to get ready to signal.
Yeah.
And I see the car behind me. The guy in the car behind me is waving like this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm like flat out at this point because I'm like, I need to get to safety because I'm in no man's land down here.
Right.
At the bottom of the hill there's not even a manned bunker down there.
Right.
So I'm like, I need to get this thing someplace. I'm trying to think of the best place. Like, if this is a real fire, I need to figure out like where to put it. Should I go to the pits? I don't know. So I look behind me and he's like going like this. Until this point, all I've seen is smoke.
Right.
And an acrid smell.
Right.
which I'll get to in a second as well. It didn't smell like oil or fuel or anything. It smelled like an acrid, like something is burning. So I see the guy waving hysterically right behind me, and then I look down, and there were flames between my feet and the firewall.
Oh, God. Oh, God. So, like, behind the pedals?
Behind the pedals, between the pedals and the firewall. And I just went, like, I was like, oh, okay, I'm on fire. Like, that was just, I remember,
Right.
like, okay, I'm on fire. And I was right at the top of the S's. I was, like, approaching the S's when that happened. And it was too late for me to hit the escape road because I was going too fast. Because there's that little connector road that goes back to turn 8 there.
Oh,
that
yeah,
little
yeah.
shortcut. And I had thought about that, but I thought I was going too fast, and I would end up like in a bunker in like one of the corner workers.
This is your Sully moment, like deciding to land in the Hudson.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, I can't stop like right over the crest of the hill because someone was going to hit me.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to go down the S's and stay offline and just dump it there. So I turned into the S's, turned off the main battery switch.
Yeah.
Which turned out to be a hugely good thing that I did.
Okay.
And then undid my belts, and I had the battery off, my belts undone before I even came to a stop, and then bailed out.
Right.
And then I kind of like was like, okay, I'm not on fire, so I tried to pull the fire suppression to save the truck.
Right.
And it didn't work. And I think two things happened. One was that the cable was a little bit too long, and I came to like here, and when nothing had happened, I thought, oh, it doesn't work. What happened was there was just a little bit of slack in the cable,
and you should have just pulled further.
I should have pulled through it.
Okay.
But I didn't know. I never,
Well, yeah, that's a good thing to check before you're on fire.
Well, but it's one of those things like, how do you check it without destroying your race car? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And if I had been on fire and in the truck, first of all, I would have been at a different angle.
Yeah.
Because it's angled towards the driver. So I was standing outside of it.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to test it without actually discharging the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I looked back up the hill. Like, I just kind of looked around to see who was around. And I saw a corner worker kind of like stumbling towards me with a huge fire bottle. So I just sprinted up the hill, grabbed it from him. And then I got there and I got back to the truck and was spraying out the interior right as Glenn, who's the main guy out at High Plains, arrived on his ATV. Have you ever seen him respond to an incident on the ATV?
No.
It's fucking amazing. He just like he stands up on it. He's standing up on this ATV, and he just takes the straight as the crow flies line,
whatever like terrain,
grass, curbs, whatever.
I mean, it's an ATV. He's putting the A in the TV.
He comes out of fucking nowhere. I don't know how he's like always on the ATV at all times because I see him walking around the paddock.
Right.
It was very impressive. Him and the rest of the team there, like, he and I put the fire out right away. And then the other people arrived and helped like make sure that nothing was still on fire.
Do you still have like helmet on at this point?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're like 30 seconds after I realized I was on fire. The fire was out.
Okay.
It all happened really, really fast. Okay. And it was like at that point, like, that I was like, oh wait, there was fire near my feet. Are my feet okay? Like it was that like
sure.
Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Wait, am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But as to what actually happened, we figured out that this is an S10 with a V8 and a Chevy V8, and basically the oil filter couldn't live where it wants to on the V8 and fit in the S10, and so there's like a remote oil filter housing or
a relocation kit. Yeah,
relocation kit. Yep. And the bolt that held that on failed.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like bouncing up and down and just held on by the oil lines. And
wait, the bolt that held the relocation coupling to the oil filter housing, or the oil filter relocated was bouncing?
No, the oil filter relocation kit is like a big housing,
right?
With two lines,
two AN lines, yeah.
And then a place to screw in an oil filter, right?
Right.
And then you bolt that whole thing someplace.
Right.
And so they had bolted that to subframe, and it came off.
Okay.
At some point, and was bouncing up and down, and then one of the lines failed, and of course it's under huge amounts of pressure, so it was just like aerating, like it was like aerosoling oil onto hot exhaust.
Okay.
And then crucially soaking into the heat shield.
Gotcha. Okay.
Stuff, which became so saturated that it was then flammable. Right. It was essentially like we taped an oily rag to the bottom of the car.
Right.
So that's what caught fire initially, and then it got so hot that it melted the fuel line. It melted the rubber inside the braided fuel line. Like, we took the fuel line off and you could see where it was starting to extrude. Joe's word for it was scooched. It scooched. It done scooched through.
Yeah.
And basically we found that because we turned the car on after they did all the repairs, and there was pinhole fuel leaks.
Right.
And we realized then later, the guy who was behind me and was warning me came over to talk to us.
Yeah.
And he said that he was seeing like jets of fire from underneath the car.
Okay.
Those were fuel leaks.
How the fuck did you not get red flagged? Or, black flag?
I mean, I would have, but I mean, it was literally like 3 corners. Like, it was.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't have seen it anyway, because I was busy.
Yeah.
And so like all of that sequence, like we kind of like pieced it together afterwards of like, okay, so the oil thing failed. That soaked the heat shield insulation, which then became like a wick.
Right.
That started on fire. That got the fuel line hot enough to cause the leaks, and then the big jets of fire.
Right.
And one of the reasons that I am here talking to you is that I turned off the main, which turned off the fuel pump.
There we go. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Everybody, fire, electricity off.
Right. Right. Evacuate the vehicle.
Evacuate the vehicle. Yeah, I bailed as soon as I could. And yeah, I mean, the truck was not super damaged. Like, we had the fuel line that was damaged, and the brake light wire was very crispy, needed to be replaced.
Well, but you're saying this. Go on.
Mm-hmm. Well, what? No, and one other thing. So the guy I mentioned, Forrest, who was driving a Porsche with a big bass on the top of it, which is the best emergency vehicle ever. But
Right.
he came over and was like, "What the hell was that?" Was understandably freaked out and was like, "Is everyone okay?" But he told me what is undoubtedly the coolest thing that anyone will ever say to me, and I will never surpass this level of badassery ever. He told me that he noticed the fire, he noticed that I was on fire like a corner or two before that, and was trying to catch up with me to warn me, but I was driving too fast.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And I told Jenny that, and she was like, "I'm not sure you're taking the right lesson from this."
You're not.
But I mean, I cannot think of a sentence that's more badass than "I tried to warn you that you were on fire, but you were driving too fast." Like,
yeah, if you're Tango and or Cash,
I mean, it's pretty cool. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god. Well, okay, all right. So let's not overlook the fact that, when you say, we fixed all this stuff, tell the folks what happened at 1 a.m.
Okay, so also I should say I'm saying we because I'm on a team or whatever, but I was not responsible for fixing any of that shit, because I think everybody knows what happens when I turn wrenches. It's not good.
And I was not there. This is the last weekend before my wife goes out of town, so we're spending some time together.
Yeah.
Right? I chose not to be there for the event in which my friend got crispy. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got the truck all back together. I mean, we worked all night on it. Like, we got it back up and running, and they were back out. We had our first driver back out at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning.
1:30,
Yeah,
something like that.
Yep.
And we ran all night. I took the night watch on the radio, and we had good running. Like, we were turning laps, and Mental, who is a friend of the show, from Everyone Racers, he was one of the judges at Lemons, and he had the night shift. So, we talked with him a bunch and showed him, hey, here's what happened. Here's, how we fixed it. Are we okay? And he very reasonably said, here's what you should do. Bring it to by the judge's station. We'll take a look at it. It was smoky because obviously there's
tons of oil still in stuff. Yeah.
Just everywhere. So, we went around it with a flashlight, made sure it was just like stuff flashing off or whatever, which it was.
Right.
And then 2 laps, bring it back to the paddock, jack it up, take a look. Everything's okay. Do 5 more laps, bring it in.
Okay.
Jack it up. I mean, so we checked it, and I was looking at, we had the data stream up, so we could like look at temperatures and stuff, and everything was going well. So we ran for probably 5.5, 6 hours.
Your fire occurred at like a lap 56.
Yeah,
the last lap you guys turned was lap like 124.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I went to bed around 5:30 or so. We were about to put Meredith in.
Okay.
Who was our very first wheel-to-wheel experience, which, was not ideal. It was still dark, and it was a car that had previously been on fire, not that, just 7 hours before or whatever.
Cut Meredith some slack, man. She's willing to step into that.
I know, right? So we were going to put Meredith in. She had a spin on her first lap and was like, I need to wait until it's light out. So she brought it back in.
Okay.
And we put Brian in.
How was traffic looking at that point? Like, how many?
There were 67 cars that started the race.
Yeah.
Or who showed up and took a transponder. I'm not sure how many took the green flag. There were still quite a few cars. Like, it was busier. It seemed busier than I remembered it. I didn't drive it all at night this year. I did last year. And last year it seemed like there was like maybe half the field, and there was more than that this year.
Okay.
It seemed like. We weren't the only ones who were blown up or otherwise just in the paddock.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of attrition at Lemons.
For sure.
Yeah.
Including one team, the Civic across the paddock from us, put a hole in their block about this big.
No. Oh no.
And then just decided to make it a 3-cylinder for the last lap of the race and like patched the hole. They cleaned all the stuff out and just patched the hole and tried to make it around. They made it like 3/4 of the lap on 3 cylinders. It's pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah, they got the Bluetooth piston upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so Brian got in and was going well, I guess. I mean, I was asleep. I was probably asleep for a little under an hour when Meredith came in and said, hey, the truck's on fire again. And it was the same. One of the oil lines failed.
Okay.
So it was a similar failure scenario. But yeah, that was pretty disheartening.
Right.
And he was fine too. The fire suppression worked for him because he stayed in the car and just went like this.
Right.
and broke the handle off, but it all came out.
Sure.
And put the fire out immediately because he did it right away as soon as he saw smoke, basically.
Right,
so,
right.
What happened was actually his story is even crazier than mine because the oil line failed in such dramatic fashion that he oiled himself. He oiled his rear tires.
Oh, jeez.
In turn 2, so it spun him.
In turn 2?
Right, which is not like a normal spin spot. Like that's not really like a hard braking zone or anything.
Right.
So he spun. It spat him off, and as he was looking in his mirrors to see where, because he's going backwards, you look where you're kind of going to end up as he had both feet in. He looked at his mirrors and saw fire in his mirror, and that's how he realized he was on fire. So as he came to a stop, he pulled the fire suppression,
right,
just before he even got out of the car. So, yeah, it was, that was a bummer for sure because I was looking forward to driving again.
Right.
Fire bad.
Fire bad, Ian. Yeah. Fire very bad.
Fire very bad, for sure.
When you're cooking and you burn a little hair on your hand or whatever? I assume that happens to you all the time.
All the time. Every time I cook, yes.
Right. And I'm actually incredibly hairy as well, but you're another level, but it happens to me quite a bit. I'm just imagining my boy going up like a dandelion. Like if you've ever watched those videos of a dandelion going up in flames, it's this crazy weird burning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's about what it would be like.
Okay. So let's talk about what's important here. Let's talk about my perspective on the whole thing. Okay. So, let's see here. So, yes, you said you were going, you were taking the second shift, right? This was at 1:30 on Saturday. The race had been going about an hour and a half, right? It was noon to noon.
Yep. Noon to noon. Yep.
And I said, good luck, man. Awesome! Exclamation point. What? Good luck, man. 3 exclamation points for my boy. Right. Next, that was at 14:08. All right. Mm-hmm. Next text from my boy, 15:01. Well, the car caught fire during my stint. Yeah. WEEELLLL. Yeah. I am totally okay. I type all caps what the very same minute you text that and just instantly call you. And do you remember what I said when I called you?
You said, can you imagine how high my voice wants to be right now?
I was bringing it down so that cellular data transmission would work. I was worried I would fry the circuits in the data centers.
Yeah.
With how high my voice was going to be if I just let it out unfiltered.
Yeah. One of my first thoughts when I got back to the paddock was Dave is going to kill me.
Good. That's a good thought. Yeah, you got me screaming over here like Klaus Kinski. Jesus, dude. Wait, Klaus Nomi is who I'm thinking of. Yeah. Who's the guy, the 80s singer that always wore like the big plastic thing? Was that Klaus Nomi?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, buddy.
So here's my takeaways. I'm extremely happy that it turned out the way it did.
Right.
Like, if it was gonna happen.
Right.
And I learned some things. This is a sort of situation that you think about when you're driving a race car. Like, what would I do?
Right. It's something people should think about.
Definitely.
Right.
And, I always, every different race car that I've driven, I've always practiced getting out.
Yep. Very important. That video that came out a while ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The guy that was severely burned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is, you should definitely do if you're doing any sort of racing, amateur or otherwise. You definitely need to do that. But, there's always the thing in the back of your head of like, I don't know exactly how I would react.
Right.
And it's it's nice to know that I'm
Right.
not gonna freeze up and do nothing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. You've had
so
a lot of experience managing crises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like,
You've
in
had
the
like some serious
Definitely.
Code Brown moments, right?
Definitely. And I mean, it was, you know, it's the sort of thing where, like, in the moment, I was not scared or freaked out at all. It was just, these are the things I need to do, and I'm going to do them. And then afterwards,
Right.
I was like, oh shit, that was pretty fucking scary. I mean, it took a couple of hours for like, the adrenaline to sort of wear off, and then you're like, oh, whoa. I think it was seeing the fuel line.
Gotcha.
Was like, oh,
this could have been bad. This could have been like action movie bad.
Yeah. And I talked, and that's when Joe was like, because Joe was very freaked out, and rightfully so. I mean, he was like, this is not good. He was like, let's call it, like, and I was like, I'm in the mode of like, let's fix and send.
Jesus Christ.
That's my vote.
No. Oh my God, no.
And you know, we, you know, luckily, like, cooler heads prevailed, and we very systematically just sort of, you know, sort of talked it through, figured it out. Like, here's what we're gonna do, and here are the tests. Here are the tests we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna verify that we're good. And he just, like, he showed me that, and he was like, okay, I mean, now you know, like, how close it was. And then he asked me to talk through, like, okay, what exactly happened after you realized you're on fire? What did you do? And I told him the thing about shutting off the mains. He was like, that's that right, because you shut off the fuel pump.
Right.
Like,
right.
That was it. So yeah, you know.
Wow. I have several questions. Okay. How did Jenny react?
Yeah. You know, she was, you know, not thrilled, obviously.
And we can cut this out if you don't want to talk about it.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she was not thrilled, but, you know, I think she had a similar thing of like, what, you know, I'm happy that you did the right thing. And you know, that, you know, and like we talked about it a lot. Like, there are going to be things that happen that are out of your control, and the best thing you can do is, like, you just manage it as best you can. And I mean, I'm good at managing those things. Like, I'm good at keeping my head.
1,000 times, yes, you are very good at keeping a cool head. Refer to the guy trying to break into your fucking car with a rock. Right. Yeah. When the first thing you said was, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah. You know, that's just, it's, I don't know. And I'm not gonna take up golf. So,
right. Right.
And I don't think she would want that either. So, I don't know. That's sort of where we left it.
So, I mean, like, where do you go from here with the team and the truck? Like,
so the plan is to move to a different engine where they don't have to have that relocation kit. Because the thought is, like, you know, those are most of the people doing those S10 V8 swaps are drag racing, you know, so they probably don't have the, like, crazy loads and weird stresses that you do with this sort of thing.
Literal 24 hours of running an engine.
Yeah, and there are drawbacks to the engine that they're doing now too. Like the Vortec thing, you know, is got its own foibles and stuff.
Okay.
So there's some other options that they were discussing. So I'm not sure we know exactly yet what we're going to do. We're going to meet on Wednesday, actually, and kind of talk a little bit about what the plan is.
Okay.
But, you know, like, I think I texted you that, like, I felt better. Yeah. Even with all of this, I felt better. I feel better now than I did after June. And that's for a few reasons. One was that, like, whenever anything happened, we had a plan, and it was like, it was a thing that we arrived to. Like, Meredith joining the team, I think, was a big deal. Like, that was just a dynamic that really helped, of, like, being able to just talk through problems as a group and come to a conclusion. And that felt like everybody has input, and that there's a conclusive thing to do at the end of it, you know?
Okay.
I think that a lot of that has to do with Meredith. A lot of it has to do with just like the amount of preparation that Joe and Brian were able to put in this before this race. So there was a lot that happened between June and now to make me feel a lot better. And also just personally, my confidence in the truck, because it's so much more like predictable to drive when it's not on fire. And then also just like I said, having a bad experience but doing all of the right things is sort of oddly a good confidence booster.
Sure, no, like responding correctly in a crisis, right? Yeah. And like even like looking back and saying like, well, I could have like put this piece together a little faster. I could have done this. Like even looking for optimizations on top of that, right? And those optimizations like being pretty incremental compared to like the massive good response you made.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, it was the only thing that slowed me down really was pattern recognition from what happened last time there was smoke in the cab.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was
minor last time you were not on fire.
Right. And the thing, like I was like, oh, this smell, it's that acrid something is burning smell. That was the insulation.
Right.
Burning, right? Which is probably not great. Keep that in.
Yeah. Bye a couple years. Those last years are fucking horrible anyway.
Yeah. I didn't want those anyway.
Right. No. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel oddly okay about it. I don't know.
Yeah. So
everybody I tell is more freaked out than I am.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Right. I can see that. Like, and I think one thing that I think I find interesting is that like I'm noticing kind of a difference in how you and I both want to work with like a race team, right? Mm-hmm. I think that like when it comes to me, I'm really like I'm arrive and wrench, like, you know, like I'm there for that, like, and to be with you, right? First to be with you, second to be a wrench and you know, resource if something goes wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And tell me if this is off base, but it seems like you're getting a lot of satisfaction about being part of developing a race car.
Yeah, totally. And I didn't expect that. The whole idea with this was like, I just needed to arrive and drive. Like,
right. That's why you rented a seat. Yeah,
definitely. And that was the plan. But yeah, I like fixing problems, and I like, you know, even when I can't physically fix them, because dear Lord, I screw some stuff up when I try to fix stuff. You know, I really enjoy the test and tune process of like, hey, it's doing this in this corner. Let's talk through what that means. Like, because I have you know, even if I'm not the fastest driver, I have a pretty good feel for the car, and I can usually describe like what's happening, like in a sort of technical way. So I've really enjoyed doing the test days. Honestly.
Yeah. No, I think that fits really well with your mentality. Like you're somebody that likes to kind of like be involved with progressive development and be part of that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I like, speaking for myself, like I kind of like, I'm not making it a priority to like invest that time in helping you guys. 'Cause like I'm working on my Fiat, like, you know, doing stuff projects, like that. Yeah. You know, but like I'm really impressed and happy to see you like finding it being a rewarding experience in developing the car and like working the car up to a better state.
Yeah. Definitely. And I hope I don't know if I've made that much impact, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, I'm sure you have.
Joe has completely rebuilt that engine and made that totally better. Brian put a new rear end in and redid a bunch of suspension stuff. Meredith has fixed stuff all up and down that car. So, you know,
your presence is definitely felt. I can tell you that.
I dick around with the electronics, and I put out a fire once. So that's that's been what I've been doing. Yeah, and a little bit more. Yeah. But I don't know. I will say too, I've been, you know, like I said, the people that I've told what happened have definitely been more freaked out than me.
Sure.
And I've been trying to figure out how to manage the like, how do I say, you know, I was on my race car was on fire without making it sound like, you know, I was like a phoenix rising from the ashes sort of thing.
Right.
Like, it was not, you know, I was not engulfed in flames.
Right. Yeah. The image that they're jumping to in their head is not what you want them to. Right.
And I want them to be this was a suboptimal situation.
Right. Yeah. Like little tiny things dancing around your toes. Right.
Yeah.
And they're picturing. Right.
Yes. Yeah. And like we were probably 2 minutes from that for sure.
You were definitely less than 2 minutes from that. Yeah.
But you know, we didn't get there, and that's because Glenn and everybody at High Plains they're all fucking badasses. Brian and I were actually talking about that too, because the same thing happened with him. He was still in the truck holding the remnants of the handle in his hand, of the fire suppression handle, when Glenn was beating on the roof of the car telling him to get out.
Jesus.
He was there. He's just everywhere all at once.
Maybe there's multiple Glens. Yeah.
It's amazing. That dude is honestly just a complete badass, and his whole team is awesome. So
that's great. Great.
If anyone's ever at High Plains, tell Glenn that he's awesome. Because
nice. That's fantastic.
I'm very thankful for them, because they helped save the race truck. And if I had been incapacitated or anything else, they would have been there. I mean,
they would have pulled you out. Yeah.
5 seconds after I stopped that car.
Yeah.
So, they were awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but Brian was also like, how is he there so quickly? Like, he was there before, but for both of us, he was there before the corner worker was there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Just fucking swooping down from the trees like a ninja.
And he sings the national anthem every morning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean...
He just pops up in a ghillie suit. Yeah. What's up?
You're late. Yeah. I've been waiting for you. And then he just sprays you with a fire extinguisher.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, I am very thankful that you're okay. I'm very thankful that Brian's okay. And in a distant third, I'm thankful that the truck's okay.
Yes.
Because human lives are so much more important than cars, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was...
Oh, fuck. Okay.
That was you know, a thing that happened in a race car that I don't need to experience again. But, you know, that's one off the list, I guess.
Tim Apple, what's my heart rate right now? Yeah.
I mean, but really, like, it took a long time for me to be at all freaked out about it. Like, I was not, it didn't feel scary at all in the moment. It was just.
Right. Yeah, it's like, this is what I did, this is what I did, and this is what I did. Yeah. This is what I saw, this is what I did.
Yeah. Because as soon as I was out, I was like, how do we save the truck?
Right.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I just had things to manage, and I just did them. And I don't know. That's what you should do.
Well, I'm very thankful that you made those good decisions, and that you do have an incredibly cool head. It is something I absolutely admire, and very envious of. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I always assumed that if that happened, I would freak out and not do the right thing. You know?
Okay.
And I think most people, when push comes to shove, will do at least some of the things that they're supposed to do. You know, I didn't get the fire suppression to work. You know, like everybody,
right?
It took me a long time to realize what was happening. So, like,
right,
you know, everyone's gonna make some sort of mistake, but I
sure.
think really very few people are gonna not do anything.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
But yeah,
you just pull into the pits in flames. Hey guys, I need some fuel.
It's running warm.
Can you check the cool shirt cooler?
Yeah.
I do want to loop back on one thing that you said in that that you before this happened, you were kind of worried that you would freak out, right?
Yeah.
And I think that having that mentality, that fear, is so much better than having it the other way. Just like, I'm fine. Like confidence that you're going to be able to handle it, right? Because and not having had that happen, right?
Yeah.
Not being faced with the issue, not having the results of how you performed, right? The attitude that you took of being having fear, like legitimate fear, right, is the right thing to do, and the thing that should continue to motivate you to practice your egress, know exactly where the fire extinguisher is. Well, okay, so from very good decisions, unless you have any other final thoughts on your crispy times.
Just once again, thank you, Glenn. Thank you, everyone at High Plains, and thank you, Forrest, for waving wildly in my rearview mirror with your silly ass bass on the top of the car. Yeah. There were so many little things that happened that like made me okay and the truck okay, and got everyone racing again really quickly. You know, like to make it almost a non-event. Like it took a lot of people doing a lot of things,
right?
And it's good to recognize that.
Absolutely, and well deserved.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, that saved my baby boy. Yeah, Ian.
I dropped my chapstick.
Oh
no! Nothing as terrible as this has ever befallen me.
What are you gonna fidget with while we talk about the rest of the show?
I don't know.
Oh my God! You better just start scrolling on the Google document.
I'll get my little Honda City.
There you
Turbo
go.
Too. Okay.
Yes. Well, Ian, I want to go from very good decisions that you've made.
Okay. To
a bad one, and one that I feel like you are not getting. Ian, we need to talk about the goddamn tweet that you fired off today. Ian, what are you doing? Tell the people what happened.
Okay, well, there's a Bring a Trailer auction on a Saab Turbo X Sport Combi. Crucially, manual. Manual. That looked like it was in good shape.
Yes, it is a manual.
And it went for $18,000, which, given current craziness around car prices and the crazy rarity of a Sport Combi Turbo X with a stick, I think it's a good deal. That's a good deal for somebody who's an enthusiast who's going to put time and money into that thing. That's a screaming deal. That's $2,000 more than I paid for mine with an automatic, several years ago. I don't know. It's a good deal.
Ian, it is not a good deal. How could you think that that's a good deal?
What would you pay for one of those?
Nothing. Walk away from it. It's a horrible idea. Nothing. I would pay nothing for that, Ian.
It's so rare.
So? That's not a selling point.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, sure. I guess polio is also rare, but right. I don't know.
Right.
It's a cool car. Are you sharing screen right now?
I'm going to. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now that we're in agreement on that, it is a cool car. How can you deny that? Yes, it is a cool car. Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Hang on 1 second. Let me ignore this. Let me hide this.
Ignore, hide, enhance.
Yeah. Unpin. Okay. There we go. Yeah. It's a cool car. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But remember, like what we talked about, the idea of this car and the reality of this car are two completely different things.
I know, but look at it. Look how good it looks.
Ian, no, yeah, it looks great. It looks cool. It is a money pit, dude.
I know. Even in these terrible pictures that they took.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pictures are all really bad.
This is what happens when you don't hire Sid to bring a trailer photos.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, no, all of this is going to fall apart real soon. They're going to be very frustrated that they can't source parts for it. It's going to do a full Tubo X conversion. The Haldex system's going to get fucked up 6 ways to Sunday.
Yep. Cooling issues. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember earlier in the show when I said that the coolest thing anyone had ever said to me was that they tried to warn me that I was on fire, but I was driving too fast?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is right here, right?
I'm trying to warn you that this is a horrible deal.
Right. No. I mean, you're metaphorically on fire, but look how cool you are doing it.
Ian, this is...
My brain is broken.
It is very broken. When you tweeted that this shit was a bargain, when you said bargain...
It's a bargain.
No, it's not. It is not a bargain. You're going to spend 36 grand trying to keep it in that condition. Ian, it's not a bargain. What could you spend $18,000 on that would get you way more fun than that? You could buy 2 different cars...
Fun, but what is cooler than that? What's cooler than that for 18 grand?
Oh my! What is cooler than that for 18 grand?
Yeah,
I can think. If I associate cool factor with if I'm going to be able to keep it on the fucking road, then that's pretty. You know what's cool, Ian, is driving a car. Driving a car. Having the car is cool. Driving it is cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. Like they're not baseball cards, Ian. You're not. This isn't Charizard. You're not trying to catch them all.
Did you see the spoiler?
Ian, that spoiler could be made out of $2,000 in cash, and I would not endorse this purchase. This is insane that you think this is a bargain. You're just trying to get a rise out of me.
Well, I guess that brings us to our next topic. I bought a Saab Turbo X.
Podcast over 7 years in. Shut it down. Oh my God. I don't know if we've ever been more divided on one single thing on the podcast than you thinking this is the fact you used the word bargain just drives me insane. Yeah. I can't handle it. I cannot handle it.
I feel like this is the most just like like these last few days, this is the most upset I've made you in quite some time.
I've just been on an emotional roller coaster, buddy. I'm not doing well. Ian, it has 120,000 miles on it. Ian, How many miles did your Tubo X have on it?
When I got it or when I got rid of it?
Give me both.
It had 85,000 on it when I got it.
Uh-huh.
And then we got rid of it. It had 130. We put a lot of miles on it. 100, no, less than that. Maybe 100 and probably about this much, honestly. Probably about this much. Probably about this much. Have I mentioned my really bad luck with cars?
You do remember the condition of your Tubo X, right?
Oh, I 100% remember. Because the dealership gave me $2,000 for it, and I took that money and ran.
There we go.
But this is not that car, and the person who bought that is not me.
It's paper mache. The thing is going to decay.
GM did that part.
That blame doesn't make it better. Being able to blame one corporation over the other doesn't put your car back on the fucking road, man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So. All right. So
it's a unicorn. It's a unicorn that has 2.5 legs, but it's a unicorn.
Okay.
And syphilis. The unicorn also has syphilis.
It's somehow given you syphilis.
And you do not want to know how you catch unicorn syphilis.
No. Okay. All right. So I have a friend of mine. Okay. That I grew up playing video games with. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we have a very common video game upbringing. He's responsible for my video game upbringing, my buddy Jason. Right.
Okay.
Now that we're grown ass adults, right? Mm-hmm. We still talk about video games from time to time, right? Mm-hmm. And board games and other things, right? And our approach to, or like what we want out of these games could not be more different, right? Like,
okay.
Jason is very, very fixated and gets a lot of satisfaction out of a game that has incredible visuals, right? Loves like immersion, loves the visual aspect of it, right? And I'm a mechanic guy. Like, I want good gameplay mechanics, and I want like replayability. And
you're like, this 8-bit game is great. Could I get a 0.5-bit game?
Right. If the mechanic's good, right? Yeah. Then I am there. There is an iOS game. I can't remember if they made it for Android, but it's like a roguelike dungeon crawler where it's like you kind of have like a deck of cards, right, that you play. The guy basically drew all of the graphics for it. It looks like you did all of the graphics for it in MS Paint with like 70 shots of espresso. Okay. But the mechanics of it are so good. Like it's one of the best like mobile games ever created. Like it's on tons of people's lists, and they all start with like, if you can get past the graphics, this is a great game, right? I showed up to my buddy Jason. He was like, no, like hard pass. I feel like this Turbo X, this soon to be Turbo X, is the same thing. Like, you are fixated on the idea of this car and like what its potential energy. And Kinetic Boy over here is seeing where the rubber meets the road and the parts that have fallen off in the miles before it.
Yeah, no, that's totally true.
Oh boy. Oh man. All right.
I accept your apology.
We gotta talk about something else before I have a fucking heart attack. I almost I legitimately thought about deleting your tweet.
I think it's better that we argued about it in front of everybody. I think that's much better. Yeah.
See, now that's where we agree. Now we're coming back around to us agreeing on something. It'd be much funnier, right? Us
not agreeing is good content.
Yeah, it is.
Hashtag content. Yes.
It is. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep great tonight. Not gonna fixate on the Turbo X at all. Okay. And we got to give a shout out to Nick Lindy chiming in with the Turbo X comment on the Twitter thread. So thank you, Nick.
It was a good callback.
Okay. All right. Let my blood pressure come down. I'm going to subject you to a license plate game, Ian. And
Sounds great.
Then we can wrap it up.
Let's do it.
Okay. Oh God. It's been a real fucking roller coaster. Okay. Ian.
Yes.
This one is called Wrong Plate, Wrong Car. 2. Because we've done one more of these before. All right. Okay. All right. Let me just make sure.
This is the game where we match a vanity plate text to the car to which it belongs.
Yep.
Highlights magazine style. Match you match.
That's right. All right, buddy. Here you go. All right.
Oh my God. Okay, so we've got a Chevy Silverado.
Yep.
From the maroon.
Pardon me. Yeah, from the Tailgate Wars era.
Yeah. Right.
We've
got a
Lincoln MKC.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Okay. Lincoln, a slightly blurry Lincoln MKC, and then we've got a Subaru Outback.
Yep. And I apologize for the blurry picture. I had to send in my super nice high-res display to get fixed, so we're coming in on a 1920 monitor here. So I'll zoom and enhance. The pictures have good quality.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got, and then the license plates.
Yes.
Audi J12.
Ian, was
Sharp-eyed. There were zero Audis in this group.
There we go. Okay.
BCCABNZ. What? Back cabins?
Becca Benz.
Becca Benz? What is
Yeah,
that?
I think it's Becca Benz, like Rebecca's Mercedes Benz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
BCCA BNZ. I think it's Becca Benz.
Yeah, and then Red C8. Oh, that is sad in this group.
Oh, I just thought of another meaning for one of the plates, but I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Okay. And actually, I think the other meaning of it is what it really is. Okay. All right. But I can tell you, yeah.
Red Kate.
I'm not telling.
Okay.
Yeah, so the last license plate is Red C8. Yeah. Okay. So which one goes on which car?
Yeah. Can I Google something?
What are you going to Google, buddy?
I'm Audi 5000.
Okay. All right. Talk it out. Show your work. Show your work.
I was trying to remember who did the song.
Cool Keith?
Oh, it's Cool Keith.
Yeah.
No.
Or Dr. Octagon, maybe?
Let's see. I'm Audi 5000 rap song.
I'm pretty sure it's Cool Keith.
Yeah.
I went pretty deep on Dr. Octagon and Cool Keith, and I have an Ultramagnetic MC's vinyl over there.
Okay.
So,
right.
yeah.
Audi J12.
Yep.
Man. The J12 is what's really throwing me off here.
You want a little bit of zoomy and enhancing?
Yeah, let's zoom in and enhance.
Okay.
Doesn't look like there's a lot of mods or anything to look at.
Yeah, here's the Silverado.
Yeah, what's that license plate surround? Is it just like
Sure. I think it's just some, like the dealer maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing.
Some nice big wheels on that thing.
That's stock. Those are stock. I'm almost positive.
Actually, that's not enough sidewall for a truck. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And
it looks good, but yeah.
A Lincoln MKC, this is one of those cars that you're just like, this looks like nothing to me.
Right, exactly, because it is an extra tapioca car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how they did those badges?
Uh-huh.
That's how they're arranged in real life? Like that wasn't...
Nope, this is the real deal. Yes, this is the real way. Like Ian's referring, for anybody just listening, the 2.0 T and all-wheel drive are just kind of like weird over on the side, and the MKC, like they're down on the side, on the hatch, like directly to the left and right of the bottom of the license plate frame.
Yeah.
Like kind of in a weird place. Yeah, Google Lincoln MKC rear end. Google Lincoln's rear end whenever from your work computer. Yeah.
He was an okay president, but the caboose on that guy.
Real badonk that Lincoln.
But this looks like, these badges look like somebody just stood 30 feet away in the factory and threw them on.
Ian, that's what they fucking did at the factory.
Why are they arranged in that way? That doesn't make any sense.
That's exactly how they did it. This is 1,000% stock. You could not get more stock than this vehicle.
This is some graphic design is my passion shit, right here.
Yeah. This car probably has 1 mile on it. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay. Then lastly,
that T is breaking my brain.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. Then we have a very green Outback. Mm-hmm. Trailer hitch.
Extremely Colorado Subaru Outback.
Yeah. There's the Fiat's headlights in its reflection in the tailgate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, just nothing to go on any of these.
Yep. Sorry, buddy.
Okay, so... Man. I think red C8 might be the Silverado.
Okay.
Because either someone has named their car Red Kate, it's a really reddish car, or I feel like if someone was like had a Corvette and then suddenly had children, that person would end up in a Silverado as their family car, right? Like that makes sense, or a Tahoe or something, right? Like
sure.
Okay. And then I got to figure out what to do with Audi J12 and Becca Benz.
Yeah.
B cabins, man. BC cabins. What license plate is this middle one? Is the Lincoln MKZ? Where is that? What state is it from? Do we know?
It is not Colorado.
Okay. I think Audi J12 is with the Subaru.
Okay.
And I think Becca Benz is actually BC Cabins, and I think maybe this is like a company car, and I feel like that might end up on a Lincoln MKC, like a property management company.
Okay.
That maybe manages some vacation rentals.
Okay. And
I think that maybe it says cabins.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going with. The Audi J12, I feel like, that's sort of like it's not a lateral move, but it's like a step down. I still need something all-wheel drive.
Okay.
I'm in Colorado, whatever. I'm going to go to a Subaru Outback instead of this nice Audi that I used to have.
Gotcha.
Final answer.
You locked in?
Flames. Yes.
You want to change anything?
No, I don't. I have a feeling that I did poorly, but I'm curious.
I have one good news for you. You got the Silverado right.
Okay. All right.
For some reason, an idiot with a Lincoln MKC that our buddy Eric saw has a license plate that says Audi J12. Who knows?
Man.
And the Outback it's not Becca Benz. It's Backcountry Cabins.
It is Backcountry. It is cabins.
I just put it together when we were talking about it at the beginning of this game.
Okay.
Backcountry Cabins, I think is what they mean. But I see it and I'm like, oh, Becca doesn't have a fucking Benz anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Good job. You got one. And your thought on the red C8, I think, is completely right. This person driving the Silverado wants you to know about the other car that they have. It's very important that they tell you that even though they're not in their Corvette right now, that you know that they have a Corvette.
Could be.
That's my suspicion with that one.
Equally plausible. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Yep. So.
Well, we did a car show.
We definitely talked about cars. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Ian?
If people enjoyed this, what should they do other than practicing egress?
Always practice your egress. Ian, they should definitely text us 720-515-1391.
Yes.
Yeah, send us vanity plates. Thank you, Eric, for that plate. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a YouTube comment. If you're watching on YouTube, just say hello. We'll tell you hello back. We love you.
Yeah.
And let's fucking settle this in the YouTube comments where all great arguments are settled. Final.
The greatest minds are in YouTube comments.
Yeah. If you had 18 grand, if you would actually buy that Turbo X that Ian thinks is a bargain.
Yeah. Funny thing is I used to have 18 grand, but I spent it all trying to keep my Turbo X running.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody, we love you. Practice your egress. Goodbye.